I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:04. And who's got, oh, there's a flag right there. Dave's got a flag. So if you can join me in the pledge, that would be great. I pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so don't see any public, so I'm assuming we have no public input. And correspondence, no correspondence. Approval of meeting minutes, which would be from our regular meeting of December 14th, not 28th. Because I don't think we met on the 28th, whatever that Tuesday was. I think it's right on the minutes. It's just not, the date's not right on the agenda. So I'll make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from our last meeting, which was Tuesday, December 14th, 2021.
Second it.
Second.
Second from Dave Horvath. Does anybody have any updates, changes, anything they saw in the minutes they had questions about? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 I have to abstain.
Yeah, John was the only one that wasn't here.
Right.
So he's the only one that has to abstain. So that passes. And then next on the agenda is election of officers, if we want to do that tonight. Everybody up for that?
Sure.
We have to do it every year and usually make sure we have everybody present, which we do, so. Have at it.
So
Tag, you're it.
that's
Nancy, I elect you as president.
second.
Third.
Fair. So I got John with a nomination of he and whoever, who did the second?
I
Everybody.
did.
Yeah, okay.
And then John Mantee as vice chair.
So we
Second.
we have to do one at a time.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. We could do it all at once. We'll just nominate everybody for everything. So are there any other nominations from the floor? I have to ask that.
You nuts.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Done. Okay, so now we need vice chair.
John Mantee, vice chair.
Listen, if somebody else, please take it. Dave Horvath, how about you, Dave? You'd be a great person.
I unfortunately right now I cannot, John. I will. I promise next time around I will. I can't.
Yeah, next time around.
I can't. No, we're like literally. It's crazy with work right now. I don't have the time, unfortunately, to give you what I really should.
John Fernan nominated John Menti. Seconded it.
I'll second that.
Roy seconded it. Close your ears.
Mantee, don't look so excited.
John, tell you what, I'll work with John. Tell you what, I'll work with you and help you out.
Actually, that would be great because then you get to learn the ropes and
Yeah, I just can't right now.
hopefully we get you in there at another time.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll
good.
I'll gladly do that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. All right. Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
thank you for thinking that. I can keep
John Mantee, your hand is up. Your hand is up. Do you have a question? No? All right,
Stuck under his chin.
okay.
He's trying to hold his head up. He's trying to COVID head up. All right, so then let's get into our old business. With the school projects, can we get Woo! Agenda says closeout progress and completion update. So Ken and or Jim, if you could give us where we are with that, that would be helpful.
So for the closeout, after this December payment application, there'll be 4 more contractors that have to submit applications. And for the punch list work that was done, the column was installed at the Johnson School. And there was a work done at the under drain at Rockwell. The 12-inch under drain line was cameraed, and that was sent out. So I don't know if that's going to be a separate business item because it's Jill, I'm not sure how you're doing with that one.
Well, the next thing on the agenda is site work punch list, so I thought we would just consolidate
Okay.
that. So, yeah.
So that's basically all I have for closeout items.
So does anybody have any questions? I mean, are there specifically, Ken, any outstanding issues, things been waiting for to be delivered or installed, et cetera? With that,
No, I don't have any specific items.
do we know of anybody else know of any things that we're waiting on?
Nope.
So can I ask a question, Nancy?
Sure.
Okay, so Ken, when you say after December's, I guess, application for payment, you have 4 more contractors that need to submit to Rizzo that then flow through on your next application for payment? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the timing how will that work? When will you get the submissions from the 4 contractors, and then when can you process them through and have is the next step for you then to have a final application for payment submitted, and when would that be?
I'm going to try. Right now, it's going to be dependent on Ferguson. They're still getting back to us. They haven't finalized their closeout. Action Air has finalized. We're all set with, earth movers is, provided that they're released. And then there's going to be priority. So it's actually 5 contractors.
So are they all, Ken, in the process of getting the paperwork in, but they just didn't get it in time for this last,
Yeah, I'd say Action Air didn't get it in time because they didn't come back to us quick enough on our closeout meetings and talks. And Ferguson Mechanical and Electrical haven't closed out, so we won't have theirs just yet. But Action Air should be able to have the January pay application ready for us.
So you didn't answer Terry's question. So what's the timeline?
So I should have everybody but Ferguson and priority for January.
You mean the next meeting?
Yes. Well,
no, it'll be the first
Yeah,
beginning of
okay.
February meeting.
the beginning of February meeting.
Because what we're going to look at tonight, the application for payment for tonight is from December.
Right.
And then for the month of January, that at the first meeting in February.
So you're saying you may not be able to have their information in to include it in your application for payment, because at some point you have to say this is our final application for payment.
Correct.
Okay,
We're gonna try, but I can't promise that.
okay. So if you don't make the January, which would come to the building committee in February, then you'll make the February, which would come the first week of March to the building committee. Is that what you're saying? And it would be Ferguson and Priority that held you up with getting that final one in.
Yes.
So, hey, Ken, how are we gonna do priority? Because obviously we can't finish up these items at this time of year.
So is that's something I think we're gonna,
Yeah, that's why I wasn't too sure
or
whether,
is the, yeah, I think we're gonna,
hold that,
as Geraldine said, we'll lump that into the site. work.
okay,
So
yeah, no problem.
To just finish up on Terry, are you concerned with that timeline?
I definitely wouldn't want to go beyond, having it approved in March, which would then set us in motion to get things submitted. I mean, it'd be nice if we wrap up
In February?
Ferguson and Priority this month and they're included in the first week of February. What comes to the building committee as a final application for payment, that would certainly give us much better time. So is there a shot at getting the Ferguson and Priority?
True.
I'm
Ken
not
and
sure.
Jim.
Priority. I'm not sure on priority.
But Ken and Jim have to kind of keep up with making sure they get their paperwork in. So if they're still working on getting certain their own applications for payment into Rizzo to be a part of the Rizzo application,
Correct,
they're
correct.
just gonna have to keep pushing them to get it done. Which they will do, right, Ken, right, Jim?
Yes.
Because they want to be done with it too.
Well, it doesn't seem like it. Just gonna say that out loud. Because, I mean, we've had this conversation for months. Terry's retiring in July. We wanted to wrap it up as closely as we can. And we keep having the same conversation. Although I missed last month's conversation.
So is there
I don't-
anything that anyone
Ferguson's-
else needs to do, Ken, to help us get to where your last five, including Ferguson and Priority, get their submission? Or is that does that solely fall on Rizzo's shoulders?
Well, if Ferguson, gets back to us and we're able to finalize his tracks, then we're dependent on him submitting a final requisition.
Right.
If they do all that, I could have his included in January.
Okay,
It's mid-January now, so that's why I'm not hopeful. I just don't put a lot of faith in them doing anything quickly. So that's why I think they'd be more likely to be in the February's requisition. And then the priority is just a matter of where we go with any work that we need done by them. Or if we bypass them, I'm not sure how that's going to go.
and is that's a topic we're talking about later, or the committee's talking about later, so that you might have a direction, Nancy, you think?
And we can talk about that now. I mean, we can roll we can roll right into the site work punch list issues. So to kind of catch everybody up on what, excuse me, what kind of happened behind the scenes around the holidays was that there was a meeting with the comptroller, the selectman, Christine, Roy was part of that meeting because Nancy couldn't make it. And the general discussion at that point was that there's significant interest in closing out these requisitions and closing out the contracts. And so the town suggested and endorsed by Matt that if if we can, what it boils down to is if Rizzo can provide evidence that the drainage under the paved area at the basketball court at Rockwell was installed correctly, because that has been batted back and forth between the design professionals and the construction side about whether the excess water had to do with improper drainage. If they could provide evidence that the drainage was correct and provide us with the as-built elevations of the slopes showing that they were, that everything was graded in compliance with the contract documents, that the town would then be willing to let go any further remedial work by priority in the interest of closing out all these contracts, and wait until the spring and see whether there is a need to do any further work on that slope totally under the town's auspices and paying for it out of the project, but not through the construction contract with Rizzo. So over the holidays, Rizzo did have earth movers scope that drain pipe a couple of times, maybe 3 times, when they finally got a camera that worked in that, of that length and in that area. They did, I haven't looked at the video yet, but they did provide us with video as evidence that that drainage pipe is properly installed. It's connected at the corner. The elevations are correct. So we're running with the confidence that the drainage was installed correctly. They also supplied us with the as-built elevation drawings for the grades on the outside. So we have received, and I have created if anybody on the committee is interested in looking at those things, there's a folder on the shared drive under construction that has all that documentation. So we've submitted it to the design team for review, for further review and comment. Although I haven't heard anything back from either Perkins or SLR. But at this point, we're working under the assumption that the work at the Rockwell paved area and the drainage was installed as specified. So if the town is still willing to forego any further action, are you requiring priority to do anything with that planting, then we can sort of confirm that with Rizzo and move forward.
I mean, there's still a lot of item drilling as far as the priority or landscaping, Rizzo landscaping items that are, still an extensive list on that also. So, understanding that the drainage seems to be installed correctly.
Knowing that the drainage is installed correctly, as Roy's saying, we still have,
I mean,
specific-
that's
if we wanna
that's
look
only,
at the,
the
that's only
punch list
part of it.
item. The punch list items are still extensive as far as items that were completed. I mean, even on Rockwell Road School, where they put the electric going up to the bocce court wasn't even backfilled. So there's many areas that are, very visible that have not been completed yet.
So then what would be the next step? Other than that, all that
I
drain,
thought the backfilling was gonna be done by the contractor installing the conduit. He's not doing that?
I don't know, Ken, when I was there, well, right before the holidays, it was an open mud hole. It was-
so that all that whole drainage has been all scoped out. It's all the information has been forwarded to Joe Collada and
Yeah.
our, do we need to hear something from?
It's a quite extensive list that we have that's on there. So that's why I'm saying, I don't know how that's gonna be addressed with priority or Rizzo, either monetarily or some way to close the project, because the way it is now, these items cannot be done till springtime.
Maybe I'm confused, but I thought we also talked about seeking another.
We are working on that also.
Okay,
Dr. Farley.
Okay.
So, we're trying to understand it ourselves too.
So specifically the drainage, the whole area. That's all been scoped out, et cetera. Information's
So,
forwarded along to Joe Colada and Perkins Eastman.
Yes,
And,
and I forwarded it to SLR yesterday.
okay, so we don't know anything further than if they'll read, look at everything, look at the video, read the report, et cetera, and say, great.
Yeah, yeah.
But then we still have mostly landscaping, planting, grass issues are what the
those are still, and that was.
yes. So
yeah,
that,
those
And
were
Roy,
from-
that list,
yeah.
Roy, the list you're referring to is the latest
Correct.
comment
Uh,
from SLR in
SL,
November.
yeah, and 11/29. So when we were out there right before the holiday, that had not been addressed, or if it had been, it definitely wasn't to a satisfaction that I would have expected. I don't think anything was addressed since that 11/29 date, since these pictures were taken, or confirmation from SLR.
Well, I'm sure they haven't. I mean, the whole point there was that we're past any season during which
Exactly.
it makes
Yeah.
a difference.
Exactly. But some of them could have, that, backfilling the electric line in the back, that could have been done. I mean, that's just.
So Roy,
That's safety.
Roy,
That's-
if I could, that work's not under the Rizzo contract, so I don't know who did that.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not too sure where that one is, but,
Okay, and then as we talk about, Gerald and I had a conversation, so we kind of went down a path of responding to what Gerald had brought up, so we really didn't get a response back from Priority. Not that, honestly, not that I think I would have anyway, but we did not get a
Right.
response back from him. I will tell you though, I do think we're getting him settled out. He does have a claim here with the cutting of the grass. That is going to be his response. That is something we're going to have to deal with. There also is a disconnect between what was on, and I believe it was Perkins that marked up the landscape architect's punch list. There is a disconnect between the grass areas that were noted for remediation and the grass areas that are being called out on that punch list. So there are a few things that would have to get resolved as far as what, the next steps would be with Priority.
okay, yeah, clean up the list a little better. Okay.
was there then going to be a meeting on site or some kind of, what are the next steps? What's the next step?
I'm sorry, are you speaking to me, Nancy?
Somebody.
Okay, no, okay, and that's fine. I guess, again, I was working under a different assumption, so.
I think I was too.
The next step would be, I've got to get Priority out there. We've got to have the conversation. I've got to get a response from him, and
So
Yeah.
can we just back up? So are we not doing what we talked about at the meeting? Oh,
We're
Roy?
doing both.
Can't-
Yeah, we're
can't-
doing
yeah.
both. We're doing both, but I do believe some of these items that are part of the original contract, as far as some of the blatantly easy items, I'm gonna call to clean up, should be done, right now. So, that.
So
could
they
have
can
been
be
done.
done in this weather under
Well,
these
maybe
conditions.
not in this weather, but I'm saying, early spring. But it's, there's still a disconnect, I think, between Priority and, Rizzo and ourselves, for sure, as far as the quality of the work. But there are items on this list above and beyond, as far as from the list that SLR did, that I would have thought that, Rizzo, our Priority, could take care of.
So can you tell me some examples of it? Is the list in the share folder?
It's from,
It is, actually.
It's in the agenda minutes or?
Let me try and find it while, I think
It's in the shared drive in a folder that Geraldine created, and she had also sent it to Roy, John, and me, and then I forgot to tell her to send it on to everyone else.
it was.
Yeah, those
it
are
In
was
that shared
done-
drive.
It was done on 11/29 when they came back out for reinspection.
So when we met in December,
Yep, and That's actually what the list that I'm using, Dr. Carver, as
Okay.
far as for our side, okay? So, and I'm not saying that all these items are gonna be solved from priority because they haven't solved them to date. So we are looking at, other ways around that. But, I would have, and Jim, you might be right as far as on the bocce court electric, as far as, you might not have been part of that contract, but those were the couple items that stood out that, should have and could have, and probably in between seasons could get backfilled and taken care of. So, and there's probably a couple other items in there too.
How was it left?
My understanding of you mean the meeting?
Right.
My understanding is what Geraldine said, that we were looking at the scoping of the pipes and the drainage and having verification of that. And that we were also going to pursue some preliminary cost of an independent landscaper to remediate the rest of the work. Is that right,
Yep.
Geraldine?
Yes.
That
And
was my
Roy,
understanding.
That's
So
correct.
you're going to just
Yeah, and
cut
I
it off.
concur with you, because that's what we're working on now.
Yeah.
And, I'm hoping shortly we can have that too, the extra costs.
So just and Matt, that's what Matt agreed to too. At this point,
Right.
That it was more important to close out the project.
Yep, I
Right.
agree. That's
And
correct.
then we would still have the opportunity in March or April, depending on when the weather really breaks, to take another look at the areas that were last identified by SLR as being of questionable quality. And at that point, I think the town, the school district, someone needs to make a decision as to what really is worth pursuing.
Correct.
Because like this whole discussion about whether grass at Johnson was cut too short prior to the time when it was supposed to be maintained. We're just not, we're not going to get anywhere with that topic or that conversation. So if the spring comes and there are still areas of grass at Johnson that need a little extra seed or something, we're just going to have to do it outside of the construction contract.
Right.
And pick and choose what it is that we want to dedicate a little bit more money and then an outside landscaper to try and fix. But I think that at this point, the direction was that I heard, as Christine said, we want to be done with priority. We want to be done with Rizzo and the landscaping issues. And then we can take a fresh look when the snow goes away and the grass starts to come up again in the spring.
Yep.
okay.
So does the committee have to do anything? But we'd have to get a sense of what the cost would be, correct?
That's what we're waiting for, Dr. Carver.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and as soon as I have that, we can sit down again as a committee. I'm hoping in the next week or so.
Okay.
So I do agree that the committee should formalize some direction to Rizzo. Even if it's just to say the town does not intend to pursue any further
Well, I mean, one of the
contract documents and work on the punch list. I think that
But
we need to give them some direction.
I have some concerns if we're talking about claims from priority, we got to bring all the items out in the open here. So that's why many of the items that, if we're talking about claims, from priority, then I think we're going to be going right back to SLR's list in my mind to say, okay, then you're going to be fixing all these other items. Because I think we still have an open book here. So, I don't think we should make any final recommend, and it's not to say we can't get this done very quickly, but I'm just saying until we start seeing what the costs are going to be on these items for us to fix, it might swing us different ways. So I'd like to see some of these costs, and I'd also like to know from Rizzo if there's going to be counterclaims from priority, so that we get everything out in the open and we know what we're dealing with as a total dollar amount. These could be pretty significant amount of money to touch up the landscaping the way I think everyone expected it to be done.
But I also think that at some point, and I don't know, Geraldine, if you're saying we kind of need to look at it and make some sort of decision tonight, because in working on all the closeout stuff, Rizzo's got to have some direction
Right.
on, are they going to be hammering on priority, or are they just trying to get priority to get their paperwork in so that we can do the final applications for payment and be done? Right, Geraldine, is that kind of what I'm hearing?
That's what I'm getting at. I think that from my understanding is that internally there are some negotiations going on between Priority and Rizzo that are not rising up to the town's level. And so what I'd love to do is give Rizzo sort of the go-ahead to finish their negotiations with them and do whatever they need to do to close out that contract. But what I'm hearing from Roy is that if the potential cost to do further work on the landscaping might be at some level that you would not like to do it outside of the Rizzo contract, that instead you think that if the cost is significant to fix things, we might want to pursue a claim against Rizzo and Priority.
I believe that's correct, Geraldine. Until we know what those costs are, I don't think we should be, releasing anyone at this date. I think we're very close, and I think it's a matter of getting to some of these numbers so we know what we're talking about. And I think Rizzo should be doing the same thing with Priority to find out, what the final scope of this is going to be. Because if there is a counterclaim, then we're talking about two different items here.
He submitted to us, Roy, without backup, a $12,000 claim for the reseeding work that he did. We've
Okay.
requested the appropriate backup for that, but all we've gotten at this point is the dollar amount.
Okay, Jim, is there anything else that they had that you're aware of?
As far as priority and claims go, no, that's it.
Priority.
Just the grass issue. We've closed out our scope issues with him. We're waiting for documentation from him. He's probably going to be looking for added bond costs as well. I don't know if anybody else is looking for added bond costs. That would be the only other item as far as closeout goes.
Okay. No, because I'm just concerned, when we have a $12,000 claim against that, I mean, any one of us can easily look at the list, our punch list items from SLR from the end of November that, clearly were not within the scope of the work that should have been done. So, I'm not expecting to have any claim against us for work, to be honest with you, Jim. I'm going to have a real problem with a $12,000 claim for reseeding.
I bring it up so you're aware of it. That's all. He
And-
hasn't
and
properly notified us, so.
And I appreciate that. But that's the type of things that I just want to make ourselves, aware of. I want to know everything. We want to know what the cost is that we're thinking the town is going to have to put into it. Plus, I want to know what's left from Rizzo, or, a Priority. So
Sure.
Jim, that 12,000's not for work completed already, right?
Yes, it is, Joe. It's basically the reseeding cost that he did and whatever fertilizer that he did out there for the grass areas.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't know anything about this. Is the claim against the town or the claim against Rizzo?
So
Because the
his
contract's with Rizzo.
His contract is with us, so ultimately it's got to come through us. We basically, we're forwarding the information to you guys so you're aware, but again, he has not properly notified us.
okay.
Okay. And then you've also notified him that emailing every town email address that he can find money is not going to get him anywhere and is going to really put him on our, I think he's emailed everyone on here plus everyone's Board of
I'll
Ed.
give you the polite version. Yes, I did.
And if he's going to email the Board of Ed, he needs better grammar.
Definitely better grammar and et cetera. Because we're not going to take this shit. So I'll say it.
But I think this is just going to be tabled at least till the next meeting, and hopefully we'll have all these numbers kind of coming in so we can look at the whole grand scope of this.
Well, and I think that, I think Rizzo knows what they need to do.
Yep.
And Roy did, we can meet with,
Sunburst.
up at the school sites and looked at a bunch of stuff. So, so I think if we have, I think we all kind of know what we need to do. I think Rizzo knows what they need to do as far as dealing with priority. We're just looking at the landscaping parts and then all their other closeout things. Then we'll hopefully have some costs at our next meeting, and then we can start looking at what direction we need to go in and how to get to a place of being able to set things up for completion. Obviously, we can't do it this month, can't do it next month. Maybe we can do it in March, but to have a plan in place. would be
Well,
good.
I just would say that I think it all comes into the timeline, right, Terry?
Right.
That I think we're concerned with.
I think we can push this right along, Dr. Carl.
Okay.
I don't,
Right.
I absolutely don't think this is, a showstopper here. These are just normal items that come up. And I think as soon as we get some of these costs together and we all sit down and just look at this, I think we can very easily resolve this, or at least come up with a plan.
Okay. So we at least could have the plan in February.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm hoping to have that resolution answer in February. So we know. Obviously, the work wouldn't be done, but at least we know which path we're going to take.
Correct.
I think we'll have a lot more information available to us at our next meeting in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So that's going to give us the opportunity to take more steps forward. Any other either closeout stuff or site work, et cetera?
I just am curious about the CO.
Well, yeah, that was going to be my next. I know Geraldine did some contacting of Chris Baldwin, et cetera.
I have not heard back from Chris since the holidays. So, but Rizzo has provided, and we have passed on to Chris everything that he last listed in an email to me, having to do with photos of the roof work, photos of the handrails that were done after, in the back of Johnson, kind of after the project, after he had done his original final inspection. He needed some information on the generator. I sent him the final commissioning report. And I've also tried to contact Beth Cavagna a couple of times for the final zoning compliance certificate because Chris needs that. I don't know why he can't ask her. They're literally in the same place, but so we're still trying to track that down too. But I don't really have an update from Chris on whether there are still outstanding questions or he's just working through all of this paperwork. But I think that we've provided everybody on the town side, or in the building department, with the things that they need to issue the CO.
Okay, Bob, do you know something?
Yeah, I just want to let the group know, I talked with Chris and he asked me about the photos, but with the weather the way it was, I wasn't going to go on the roof, but.
He already has them.
Pardon me?
Geraldine just said he already has them, right, Geraldine?
I provided him with the photos that Rizzo took. I know separately from that, he was asking Bob to have custodial staff take some photos. So maybe
Yeah,
he
no.
doesn't even.
I'll go up tomorrow. He gave me, 2 days ago, he gave me two items he wanted photographed. So I'll get up there tomorrow. The weather's gonna be a little bit better.
Okay.
So Terry, maybe we should take a walk down too. Tomorrow, would you do that for me? Okay, because when I talked to Chris, he said everything was fine. Like there was nothing outstanding.
I know.
Then let's just do the
So-
paperwork.
Yeah.
And yet
if
there's
he
no
wants-
paperwork.
Yet there is no paperwork. There's got to be sign-offs from health, fire marshal, planning and zoning, and then finally Chris. Now, planning and zoning, and I know Geraldine, you've been in touch, or tried to get in touch with Beth. When I saw Beth a few months ago, she's, well, if you guys are good with everything, then I'm good with it.
Right.
Meaning the
Yeah.
commission, and I'm not taking that responsibility. It's not the commission's responsibility look at the list of things that zoning said, you got to do this and you got to move that and you got to make sure this slope is this angle, etc. That's not my job. It's not Dino's
Well,
job or Dave's job or Roy's job. That's Beth. Beth's got to go out there or send somebody out there, one of her people, and look
Well,
at.
and I think that she has been out there, and also one of the later things that she asked for were as-built site drawings, which I compiled and sent her again, the drainage the drainage inspection letter from the engineers, the as-built site drawings from both schools,
Right.
and then with a specific question, is there anything else that she needs to close out the zoning application? And I haven't gotten a reply. So, but I do believe she has everything she needs, and I know Laura has said verbally that she's fine.
Yep.
So it truly is just a matter of somebody passing a piece of paper around and getting everybody to sign it, I think.
Yeah. We'll go down there tomorrow.
Go down there and stand there with a paper and say,
Terry, if you go down there, let me know, because if there's any more documentation that we can dig up, I want to be sure that they have it, So,
Yeah, if there's any issues, we'll call you from there.
right. And in fact, I'm going to be by the Municipal Center tomorrow late afternoon. So if there's anything I can bring with me. And
Okay,
show her,
good.
I can
Good.
do that.
Good.
Let me know.
Hey, Bob, if you think of it, give me a holler when you're gonna go up. I'm working from home this week. I could shoot over.
I'm gonna try in the morning, Dave, before the craziness starts.
Okay. What time is that for you?
About 7:30, 8 o'clock.
I was gonna say 5 a.m.
Yeah.
it's
All
still
right.
too dark then.
It's actually good because it's gonna snow again, Bob, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but it's also too dark at 5 to be up there taking photos. So
Well, let me ask you a question. The photos that Rizzo gave him, was it the ladder? And was it the fencing along the edge of the roof?
Davits.
No, the davits where the PPE would hook into, but not the railing, there aren't any railings up there, are there?
Yeah, there.
No.
I sent pictures of the gas line supports that were repaired. Pictures of the davits for time off the PPE. I think he already had the pictures of the sediment traps, he says in this email. So that was really those were the photos. So. But he didn't ask for a ladder, so he's looking for photos of the ladder.
You know how he wanted that railing very near to the end of the roof line? He wanted that ladder.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted a
Yeah.
photograph of that.
Okay.
And then, yeah, and then there was another area where they had a ladder. So, I mean, I'll check with them before I go up.
Okay. But
right,
it
so
sounds
we-
like those were new items that he hadn't
Sure.
asked for before.
And Dave, if you want to go up and look around, that's fine too. I'm there. Just give me a
All right,
call.
so 7:15-ish, 7:30?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock? Okay. You got it.
So budget review, are we ready for that?
Sure. Prior to actually looking at the total budget review, I'd like to review a proposed change order that came in. Let's see, let me go back to this meeting. So we thought we were done with change orders. However, we were fortunate to find a change order credit. So this impacts the budget, which is why I'd like to review it first. As you might recall, the original contract included a lease on the portables at Rockwell that ran through the end of the calendar year 2020. Right, yeah. But the portables were removed during the summer, so 6 months ahead of time. So there was actually 6 months less on the lease. And this is a credit for that value of the contract with Vanguard for the 6 months of the portable rentals. So there's a credit of $32,178 that we need to accept in order for Rizzo to incorporate that into the next application for payment as well.
Maybe it was 2019. I don't remember. Anyways. Well, so then I will make a motion that we approve proposed change order number 135 for Rockwell School in the credit amount of $32,170.
Second that.
Second from Roy. I don't think anybody needs any further explanation on this.
No, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and it goes back to contingency, I would assume.
Yes, it does.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. Thank you.
All right. So then I would like to look at the total on the cash flow and contingency balances. So what we're looking at here now is just well, some new items. So last month we talked about approving a $40,000 purchase of a snowplow mower equipment. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit because we do have a quote for that I want to review. But actually, I should double back to one thing that we did, that we circulated and that Rizzo provided with their requisition this month is a total accounting of all of the change orders that they accepted and used the CM's contingency for, which is in both of these documents. There's one for Johnson, there's one for Rockwell on the shared drive, and I circulated them. The column that says GMP are change orders that they absorbed within their own contingency. And then there's a column for the total of the owners approved. So these were change orders that actually changed the GMP. It's a little confusing with the way we titled them. And then total change orders for each subcontractor trade package. And this was done in an effort to support the request to restore some money back to the construction manager's contingency from the roofing contract that increased in cost shortly after the GMP was approved. So in both cases, I just wanted to highlight that, and you can go through the details and we can look at individual change orders if anybody is interested, but the bottom line is that here at Johnson, the GM contingency balance was $685,558. The total number of change orders that they used their construction manager's contingency for on Johnson School totaled $791,358, which leaves a balance of $105,800 that we are now requesting be restored from the project budget back into the contractor's contingency in order to cover that shortfall. If in fact we had not taken $193,000 out of the construction manager's contingency at the very beginning of the project, they could have easily covered these contingency items and even had a balance. So there is that calculation for your consideration. And I just want to show you Rockwell. So Rockwell, similar thing. There's a total for the construction manager's change orders, the total from the owner approved change orders. And in this case at Rockwell, we end up with a balance. The construction contingency, even after taking the money out for the increase in the roofing contract, was $354,309. Total change orders booked to the CM contingency was $435,089, which leaves Rizzo still with a balance in their construction manager change order, construction manager contingency of $19,220. And these are the numbers that are reflected in this tabulation here now. So we're showing that we need to draw nothing here to restore CM contingency for Rockwell because there's a balance. but we're asking for $105,800 to be restored to the CM contingency from the roofing contract increase. And then again, if you come down to the bottom, with that restoration, there will be no balance in the construction manager's contingency at the end of the day, but there still will be $19,200 that, if that holds, would eventually revert back to the owner's contingency at the close of the project.
So we would need a motion to restore that 105,800 into the CM.
I believe that would be advisable, yes, because we're talking about financial commitments, yes.
So, but I also think that we need to look at, because there's that, and then there's the additional services requests that we've,
There are. So I am still, and
From-
on the spreadsheet, I'm still carrying
Right.
sort of the total amounts that were last requested, and I know that those are under negotiation.
right, and
So-
they continue to be under negotiation, although we may need to go into executive session to have a brief talk about that. So if we're doing, just specifically for Rizzo, looking at their, original asks of 123,700 and 111,355 for the two different schools, but then on top of that, we're looking at the 105.8. I'm not sure, I don't know if everybody is understanding that and whether that is something that was also considered in the negotiations. Just bringing it up.
Well, I can say more if you want, but maybe someone else wants to weigh in. I mean, in my mind, they're two different issues.
Right.
And that's because the additional services that are being requested, the 120 on this spreadsheet, the 123,000 and the 111,000 are general conditions costs to carry the project out over a longer calendar than was originally anticipated when Rizzo set their general conditions costs. So the cost of personnel, cost of, whatever, rental equipment, things like that. The 105.8 the request for that is specifically generated by the fact that we reduced their CM contingency for that roofing contract increase at the very beginning of the project. And at the time, I think we thought it was expeditious. It allowed the project to continue on without changing those contract numbers. And we had a general sort of commitment to re-examine that issue when we got to the end of the project and knew where the money was landing. I think that the 105.8 is a legitimate request, and I support that being restored to the Rizzo contract because the fact that those roofing contracts increased in cost was not completely under their control. I mean, those bidders withdrew their bids and refused to do the work, right? So you can say it should have been better scoped or, maybe caught earlier, but at the end of the day, that's not something that they should have been totally at risk for, which is why we're supporting the restoration of that money.
I just wanted to make sure people saw that it's two different
Yeah.
lines,
Sure.
two different items.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm gonna make that motion to restore the 105.8 to the CM fees for Johnson.
I'll second it.
And we don't have to do anything specific with the Rockwell one because
That's okay.
that's a credit.
Is that's in your favor? They will not, any money there. And I think that if you approve of this 105.8, I think what we're going to do is we'll work with Rizzo on the backup documentation that needs to happen. It'll be a change order, right? We'll just have to figure out what kind of documentation to provide in support of that so that there's a good audit trail for why at this point we're increasing that contract amount.
Right.
And I also think that because, I mean, we could have jumped on this a year or more ago and just stuck in the amount that was asked for both schools, but the fact that Rizzo was keeping track all along and figuring out more specifically what was needed rather than just throwing numbers out there, I find that greatly appreciated. So
Great.
go ahead.
And I just have one more, it's actually a question, I think, for Jim, maybe for Ken, but probably for Jim. I think that there on those, on that change order tabulation, there are a couple of lines there that are still under negotiation. So if there's a chance that that number changes, I guess we should probably have the motion stated that the 105.8 is a not to exceed, because all of those change orders have not been finalized and paid out yet.
I believe we've made good estimations with the remaining sub,
Sure.
not that
Yeah.
it couldn't change here or there, $5,000 one way or the other, but yeah.
It's.
Okay.
Oh,
Right, so Roy, you want to make it not to exceed?
I personally don't have a problem. I mean, ultimately, it's gonna come right back to us either way. So I don't mind. Whichever way you want to do it, I don't mind.
That means it's time to stop.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we'll have paperwork that backs up the amount, whatever it ends up being, so.
Right. So the bell means it's time to vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is anyone opposed? So that carries. So are we gonna look at the individual project budgets, or do we not need to?
We can, they change so little from month to month because we've been looking so few dollars to each tabulation. But at Johnson, we've invoiced and paid out about 95% of the total project cost and 99% of the construction cost. Again, we're still sitting on a $1,371,722 in the owner's contingency here. Pretty much under these budgets, the only things left to pay out are professional, the architect's fee and the owner's reps fees. Everything else has somewhat been zeroed out. I'm holding some in this utility fee cost in case we need a place to bury additional money, but that there is really little. There are a few liabilities left other than the construction applications for payment. And on Rockwell, similarly, invoiced and paid out 96% of the total project cost and at 98% of the construction alone. And we continue to have a negative owner's contingency here, but it's been reducing itself based on givebacks. This will go down again based on the $32,000 that was just approved tonight. So we should be just over $500,000 in the hole here. And then again, that informs this total where right now, even with the higher numbers here than I think have been negotiated right now, we're just under $1 million under budget on the combined projects.
So since we're looking at the budget parts, do we talk about the mower plow thingy now?
Yep.
Some info on that we can share with everyone and then go from there.
Sure. We had previously just thrown a number out there for $40,000. I'm not even sure where that came from. But Terry did get a quote. Where do I have it? And it looks like I didn't include it here.
Show us the pictures that Bob sent of the.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So something else. So when we do
Right.
invoices, we were going to pay an invoice for the lift, but Here's the
Yeah.
list.
Oh, that's awesome.
It fits nice in the garage too.
That makes me happy, Bob.
Have you used it yet, Bob?
Yeah, we've already used it. Well, actually, the town's used it.
Good.
There you go. It's paid for itself already.
There you go.
And you also got the trailer.
There's the
Nice.
trailer.
Good.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Now you can carry snow around on the trailer.
You look good. All right, let me.
That summer lawn cutting gig, he can bring his tractor around.
All right.
I think you sent the quote around.
I did. So are you still seeing my screen? You might not be seeing the right
Yep.
screen.
Yeah, we're seeing a
A frozen
Okay.
All right.
frozen hourglass and a frozen mouse.
Let me get it up here quickly.
There you go.
So Geraldine, you let me know what you want me to share about how we got here.
there it is.
Sure.
Unless,
So-
I mean, I'm fine
well-
with you doing it, but if you want me to chime in, I will.
I'll just start with where the numbers came from.
Okay.
So even though we had carried 40,000 in the budget and talked about that generally last meeting, what Terry received were two quotes, one for a mower, for the tractor with the mowing equipment, the mowing attachments. And they also supplied a separate quote for the same tractor, but with the snowplow attachments. And when we just stay with one tractor fit out and then do the mower attachments and the plow attachments, the total actually, including freight and delivery charges, comes to $67,979. So it's $28,000 more than we had previously included in the spreadsheet. But again, Terry, I don't know if you want to. This is a purchase that is necessitated by the additional grass that needs to be cut, the slopes that need special attention, all the sidewalks that we've put in, and additional parking areas. And the reason that the district and the town is asking for the project to support this additional equipment is because we've really created more work and a bigger burden on the equipment that the town already owns to do this sort of maintenance around the campus. So.
And I'll just add for everyone's benefit that actually the town controller kind of approached me about, at the end of the project. And we've had discussions about the amount of slopes that we have. Oh, and Kathy, there's someone trying to get in, if you could let them in. So, the way it was built and the way the landscaping landed and all that beautiful work that we've had done thus far. And I know, Roy, you and I have talked about this. We do want it maintained well. And mainly this machine will be good for the landscaping piece and complement what the town equipment has so that they can really maintain well, because that's shared services, town and board shared services to maintain it well. And with making the purchase for the landscaping, we felt it made sense to add the snow attachments just because, the campus, I did buy a snow machine out of Board of Ed funds, had nothing to do with the project, but as Brad said, this really does pertain to the way the project landed with all the additional sidewalks and everything, and he was very supportive and suggested that we get the numbers and bring it to the committee. It is priced at Sourcewell pricing, which is a national consortium, and we would bring it to the Board of Selectmen also for approval.
Is there any kind of a warranty on this for like, 3 years parts and labor, anything like that? Usually
yeah.
something like with that kind of a pricing, at least, some kind of a, reduced PM costs on an annual basis or whatever it costs in parts and labor.
Yeah, I know Eileen, are you in?
I thought I saw Ellen.
Yeah, she's name's on there.
Yeah.
Eileen, are you able to join us to talk about the type of warranties and support and service and all that?
I believe the warranty is longer than the 3 years, and it is a local company
Yep.
that we purchase this from. So we feel we can get service from it, as well as I am getting my staff trained like they're getting trained regularly how to use the equipment, because we do have we have one machine like this as well already. So
Okay, good.
So it's one tractor with all the different attachments. So
Correct.
wintertime attachments, summertime attachments. Okay.
Did I see
Yes.
did I see it had the heated cab and all that nice stuff for the guys?
Yes.
No, it's important. I mean, it is, because you're out there, in the wind chill and stuff, you're freezing your
yeah.
toes off. You don't want to,
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have a cab right now, so it's been a tough, first snowstorm was kind of chilly.
I bet.
So, yeah, so,
That's
But-
why
and-
Eileen going to drive because it's got the.
Yeah.
cab, right?
Nancy, I have a question.
Sure.
Did I hear you say this is a snowplow machine? Is that correct?
Well, it's both landscaping and it would also have some snow attachments and abilities. It's primarily to landscape because we are leaving behind those slopes, and we want to keep them as in some of the areas we have finished and that we're all happy with are beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to get there, Roy, you've been on top of this. We're going to get there, that all of it is going to be beautiful. And
Terry, my question, Terry, is on the sidewalks, a snow blower versus a plow on the machine. Is there a snow blower attachment for this machine that you might want to look?
It says so, Rich, on the second page we're looking at right now. It's the second box down has a broom, and the third box down has the blower. So it's actually got a couple different things. And also has a spreader drop. So I take that's for salt.
We're- yeah, well, we got prices for all those, but the broom is excellent with the snow. That's what I have on my machine now. I also use a plow. We did the plow and the snow blower prices are similar, so we're going to evaluate whether a snow blower or a plow for the sidewalks is the best, because with my experience, snow blowers, the snow ends up, if it's a large storm, the snow clogs in the snow throwers, where a plow can push it. And this machine is a new machine that they're making, and the plow is very heavy duty. So we were going to evaluate when we got to that point, but they're the same price.
Okay, all right. Eileen, I think you should just evaluate that, because a lot of areas there behind the school, there's really no place to push the snow, as where the blower can pile it up higher. So
Right,
when
it can blow over
that's the
some places, yeah.
determination you want to make.
Yep.
Okay, so do we have to do something with this? Are we?
Well, the committee would have to approve that we move forward with the purchase, because the funds would come out of the project, and then we would also go to the Board of Selectmen.
I make a motion, we approve it.
So
Right, second.
can we do, is that a not to exceed amount, the 67,979.05?
I think that amount is fine.
Okay, so we'll do not to exceed with that. John Perna made a motion. Who did the second?
David?
Dave Horvath, second. Any other questions or comments on any of this? And so the motion is to forward our approval to the Board of Selectmen for their consideration. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done.
I do want to thank the committee because so much went into these projects and I think it's important to all of us on the Board of Ed side. And I'm happy that Eileen partners well with us. But I think I'm speaking for like Bob and I and everybody else on the Board of Ed side, you know, that we keep this whole campus as beautiful as we've created.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have a place to park it? Again,
That's my next question. Do you have a place for all these attachments and fun
Are you
things?
gonna park it next to the lift?
No.
No, Eileen said she has space.
Yeah, she's got a nice big barn down there. Okay, so then I'll have to let the Board of Selectmen know of this so that they can then take it into consideration. I would think.
Yeah, I can
will,
talk to Brad in the morning.
And then I'll let Matt know too, and then they'll have to figure out who does what first.
Great, thank you.
So, and did you say, Terry, that this is off like a state contract list kind of?
It's off a national consortium pricing.
So same kind of.
Yeah, but I still need the selectmen to approve it because of the amount. Yeah.
Right, because the amount, right.
Right.
Okay. All right, so so professional services, additional service requests. Next, we'll bullet on our agenda. So basically, we have two kind of sections here with this. We have the original request from Perkins Eastman and the original request from Rizzo, which Carolyn said, and I will say again, have been in negotiation. But we also have, since the extended services contracts that we approved, the last bit that we approved from both Perkins Eastman and he took us through the end of December. We've received additional services requests from both Perkins Eastman for each school and STV for each school. And so that's what I want to consider right now. Okay. And that all got sent around as part of the documents. And I think the Perkins Eastman ones first. Are you going to throw them up there, Carolyn? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So again, one for each school. This one's for Johnson. So proposal expired, but Joe Plata, are you beyond the not to exceed for that took us through the end of December?
We are really close. I'd have to look
Yeah.
at the current numbers. Yeah. And
Okay.
I think there's a little bit left from the last one.
Okay. So with with Perkins Eastman, and again, this being Johnson, they're looking at a not to exceed amount of 16,000, but you're taking it through the end of June. Does both these proposals take us through the end of June?
Yes, both are for the same amount and through the end of June. Our thinking was end of June because of if the site work's done in March or April, it would take some additional weeks for the lawns to establish. So we wanted to make sure we covered at least until that point.
Okay. And so it's the same amount for both Rockwell and Johnson.
Yes,
And that covers us from January 1 through end of
June 30th. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm actually I'll make a motion that we approve the one that's up on the screen from Perkins Eastman dated January 7, 2022 for extended construction administration services.
I'll second that.
Through the end of June. John Menti seconds for $16,000. Any other questions, et cetera, on this? All in favor? Opposed? Done. And then the wording is pretty much the same for Rockwell. January 1 through the end of June 2022 in the amount of $16,000. I'll make a motion that we approve that also. Need a second.
Second.
Got a second from Roy. Again, any other questions or comments on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. And then similarly from STV, we have.
Yeah. Except I only took it through April. I was optimistic. So,
Okay, well, we can approve it. So we can approve it, and then obviously if you have to do something.
yeah, I'm still optimistic, yeah.
But but
We like your optimism.
yes. So this is January 1 through the end of April 2022, correct?
Yeah, yes.
All right, so question. That takes us to the end of April, kind of construction administration, but what about all the other closeout stuff that you have to do and paperwork for the state, all that stuff?
So we're still holding 20 hours in our pocket kind of on each school to do state audit and town closeout. So this is just strictly the extent. So you already approved that, and we've already got it kind of over here on reserve. And this is just to extend everything else up into that closeout.
Okay. So this is just kind of every day, whatever, every week, every month, whatever work through the end of April.
That's correct.
Okay, and then, so this is for Johnson School. I'll make a motion that we approve the amount for Johnson School for STP for extended services, the amount of $6,188.
I'll second that.
Got a second from whoever was the second.
Yeah.
And any other questions, comments, et cetera? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. And similar for Rockwell, I'll make a motion to approve extended services in the amount of $6,188. So they're both the same, Carolyn.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. From January 1 through the end of April 2022.
I'll second that.
To a second from, I think, Roy.
Yep.
And any other questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. Thank you. So what I would like to do is we have Rizzo applications for payment and a couple of invoices. I'd like to get through with those. And then see if anybody has any other questions, et cetera. And if not, we may go into executive session for a discussion on the other part, additional services. So appreciate Ken getting these over to the Municipal Center for us today. Yeah. I'll find and stamped and which one are we in?
This is Johnson School.
Okay. Make a motion that we approve Rizzo application for payment number 33 for the month of December in $148,558.82.
Second that.
A second, any questions, etc. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve Rizzo application for payment number 33 for Rockwell School in the amount of $187,046.54.
I'll second that.
A second from Roy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. And then we have ST here for Contingency, whichever ones you want to put up there. Or the lift.
Do you want to start with United Rentals?
Sure.
We already looked at the pictures. We already looked at the pictures of the lift and the trailer.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve invoice from United Rentals for the lift and the trailer in the amount of $25,184.02.
Second.
Everybody seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. And what's next? Contingency.
Perkins.
I'll make a motion that we approve invoice number 68962.07.0-9 for extended services Johnson School in the amount of $3,764.
I'll second that.
Okay, second from I think Roy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Done. And then another. So I'll make a motion that we approve Perkins Eastman invoice number 68961.06.0-9. School, the amount of $2,297.25.
I'll second that.
Okay, I've got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. We should have two more.
Yep.
Okay, STV. Make a motion that we approve STV invoice number 90023094 for Johnson School in the amount of $2,111.50. We got a second from Dave Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. This should be the last. I make a motion that we approve STV invoice number 90023095 for Rockwell School in the amount of $2,000.
Second it.
A second from Dave Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Done. Okay. So now, unless anybody has anything more, we're pretty much done with school stuff except for I'm gonna ask that we go into executive session.
I'm sorry, I had to step out. Was Rockwell pay approved?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
both-
thank you.
Yeah, both Rockwell and Johnson. I appreciate your getting those over to the municipal center, Ken. That was appreciated.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, they're all stamped and signed and ready to go, so I'll just have to get them back to Kathy tomorrow morning, so
Okay, thank you.
they can get hopefully processed tomorrow afternoon. Okay, so I think, like I said, we're done with school stuff. Except for we need to go into executive session, and I'll make a motion to do that. Unless anybody has any other questions or anything for Ken or Jim before. None? We're good? Or Joe?
Nancy,
No,
Do you need me to leave or stay or?
you're gonna stay.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Carolyn.
Terry. The dog
night,
can
all.
stay. The dog can stay too.
Night,
Dog
doggy.
and-
Good night, kitty cat. I saw the kitty cat before.
Night,
All
Terry.
right. So I'm going to make a motion that we go into
Night.
executive session.
All right, thank you.
Good night, and invite in Geraldine, Kathy, who's gonna make sure that we stay, like, nobody else can barge in on us. And all the commission members and Rich can stay too. So then you gotta stop. Oh, I need a second. Who's seconded?
Second.
I'll second it, David.
John Menti seconded it. Favor, aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
people that I said invited in, Kathy, Geraldine, and Rich.
Hey.
Progress. Okay, and so no decisions or motions were made as a result of our discussion in executive session. So for now, we're actually done with school stuff. And we're gonna move on to police station, which Geraldine, I'm gonna ask you to stay for that.
Okay.
And Bob, you're good, so we'll see.
Night.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Tomorrow,
you.
Dave.
All
See
right,
you tomorrow morning,
Good night,
Bob.
Bob. Good night, good night.
all right.
So a couple things on police station. Last night at the Board of Finance meeting, the Board of Finance approved an amount, 49,000 something, which was the proposal that STV had put together to do project management and be the owner's rep for the firing range. So that was approved, and I'm not sure what the next steps are. I didn't attend the Board of Finance meeting. I actually listened to some of the recording earlier today. And there was discussion back and forth about the firing range with Board of Finance members asking lots of questions. I'll get into all of it, but basically it's a lot of stuff that we've talked about. They want to know, are the plans done, et cetera, which, you know, there were originally plans done, but since those plans were completed more than 3 years ago, and I've said this, and Chief Pugner was actually there to answer a few questions too, which was good. That if we're looking at whether it's the actual firing range equipment or anything HVAC or whatever, you know, a lot of that's got to get updated. Are the model numbers the same? Are, you know, things obsolete now? Do we have to update all that? Board of Finance also asked questions about, so basically the idea is that we're going to hire STV to be our owner's rep on the completion of the firing range, the interior fit out of the firing range. That's my understanding. But there's still going to be some costs involved with getting the plans and specs up to date with both Action Target and whoever else needs to do that, et cetera. So I'm assuming that that's going to get started sometime soon, but I don't know, Geraldine, if you knew of the Board of Finance's decision, but they're, you know.
Yeah, but I figured, yeah, my understanding of the process is that the Action Target contract, so they have an updated quote from this past summer. Well, I don't know how, it may have to be updated again, I don't know. They, Action Target re-quoted the firing range equipment, and they do the HVAC work as sort of a design build component where they provide all that equipment, but they're doing all of the design, the calculations. So, so the old drawings on the HVAC system are no longer needed. So I think it's like a $600,000 plus was the last quote from Action Target to fit out the firing range and do the HVAC system. So, but you are right that there are some other items though that are not covered under the Action Target contract. And most of it has to do with finishes, you know, ceilings. The police folks want to do a little redesign of how the firing range is laid out. They don't need the dedicated control booth because everything's on iPads now. So, but they need a door moved. So there's like some minor architectural items that need to be done. And if they can be minor enough that we don't have to go out to bid for an architect, if we can go back to Contingency Humes and have them rework their drawings, that would be ideal because it would help the timeline and the process. But that's sort of a question for Brad, and it'll probably depend on the value of that work. So a little bit of planning needs to happen in conjunction with the quote from Action Target. But I expect that we'll be able to start that up pretty quickly, you know, next week. I know that the folks at the police department were going to reach out to Action Target, find out who the current contact is, give me the information. I haven't gathered all that together yet, but that's the first thing we'll be doing is going back to Action Target to finalize their scope so we know what we're missing and who to go get it from. So.
Hey, Caroline, don't be surprised if Tecumseh and Humes doesn't want to do the redesign work.
I wouldn't say that.
Well,
Yeah,
you know, one of the concerns I have is especially with the HVAC, because they had I'm going to say the gold-plated system, and that was the whole holdup of this thing. So I would be very concerned that Brian would just say, "I'm just not going to do that." You know.
I'm not in favor of using Tecumseh and Humes. If it's a little bit of stuff that we have to do, let's just go outside and get another architect.
Okay.
Yeah. He really towards the end, Julian, he really towards the end, he wasn't nice to us at all.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, I don't know how everybody else feels. He was not even professional. Like a couple of times he got up at the meeting, as you're lucky I came to the meeting.
Yeah.
After you did a whole police station for us? Really? Yeah.
Yeah, quite the attitude.
It got ugly. And if it's minor or what we have to do inside, why put you through it, and why put us through it? Let's just get somebody. If it's minor, there's plenty of smaller outfits out there that I'm sure would pick it up, and
sure,
let's just cut the cord with them. I mean, look at the leaking of the range. He didn't really help us at all.
Do we owe them anything right now? Do we have any outstanding finances with them at all?
Yeah, we owe them. Don't we owe them like $10,000?
Very little, very little.
Okay, good.
We're all square with them.
All right, so we could drop them tomorrow if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I'm not in favor of using him. That's for sure.
Okay.
There's a similar question though for some of the construction work that needs to happen that's not part of the Action Target contract too. So it would be a similar question on whether to re-engage Downs. You know, again, the process is made easier because they built the building, but I know that I don't know what the relationship is there as well.
I
thought Downs was better to us than.
Yeah, I don't think Downs is going to have that big a problem. I don't know if they'd want to. I don't know if they'd want to handle that small of a portion, but I don't think they'd be the problem. But I think Tecumseh probably would be. Just knowing the attitude that what he had before, and like John was saying, and also, I mean, they were the ones that had the gold-plated system. They're not going to want anything but that system. So, and I think they're going to make it very difficult and prove us wrong, or want to prove us wrong, as far as which way the police station wants to, which way the police want
Right.
to go.
Yeah,
That was really where the battleground was before, and I'm pretty much with John on that, I don't even know if it's worth going there.
we'd have to buy a case of Rolaids.
My experience in the past 2 years with Jakunski Humes with Brian has been pretty positive.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that the firing range leaked like a sieve. And
Is
everybody,
that all?
everybody was like, and
That's it though, just the leaking of the firing.
yeah, the leaking. But there was also, Brian was very helpful in issuing different field reports, et cetera, around that, although kind of stopped short of, oops, we should have put some kind of something and
Yeah.
the outside.
Hey, John,
So
John
there's
Menti,
that.
I don't want to wake John Menti up, but I'm gonna, how about Claris? Would they do it? They're local. They
No,
won't?
they don't like to do municipal.
Only do their own, yeah, they only do their own.
They do their own design build stuff. So, and that's not something we have to decide now, but I just
No.
wanted to give you that update as far as we move forward with completing the firing range. The other thing I want you to know is that I did forward to everyone 2 documents that I received from Downs, from Ryan Patrick, who was project manager for the construction of the police station. One is a whole bunch of change orders, which basically are the work that had to be done to complete the coating of the firing range, additional flashing, et cetera, which was what we had agreed upon, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And so those amounts come out of their construction manager contingency. And the second is their final application for payment, which is basically that, mostly that amount of the change orders and a credit for about 28,000 in contingency, which was not used. So it goes back to the town. So as I said, Ryan sent those to me. I forwarded them as attachment. And Ryan said if I had any questions to let him know and he would answer them. And I said, we're all going to have questions. Come to the meeting. And we don't see him anywhere here. So we are not going to act on those change orders or on the application for payment until someone from Downs attends a meeting and goes over it with us. Because as I said, there's one of them is like 19 pages of, there's 2, 3, 4, there's 5 change orders. 4 of them are painting the roofing, et cetera, and then we'll credit for the final contingency amount back to the town. I'm sure the Board of Finance is going to want, and everybody's going to want to know at some point what's left in the contingency, which I can't really say. Sorry, because we spent some. Remember, we put the blinds up. We had to build those bridges over the ductwork to make those accessible, and the downspouts they added in the back, etc. So we won't discuss this any further. Mute myself.
Finance?
Go ahead.
Yes, I got one thing to say, I'm probably the odd guy out here, but because this is a build out of the firing range, I personally think that we should not handle this. I think it should be the police commission, the public works town engineer, they should handle it. That's just my opinion. I can see nothing but trouble happening down the road. I can see this is going to be, it's going to be a mess. So that's just my opinion. So.
And
I mean, haven't they kind of, put us with that responsibility? I mean, is that, John, I think we're better off to handle it than letting the police people handle it. Nothing against the police, but I think, we're more in the business of that.
That assigned to us by the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, isn't it Matt's decision?
Well, so the Board of Selectmen assigned it to us, I don't know, 6 months ago. So if they want to unassign us, they can.
Just watch the finger pointing. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
Yep. I really think that's going to happen, but taking any action on change orders or applications for payments from Downs, I will again tell Ryan Patrick he needs to attend our next meeting so he can answer questions. And I think that's kind of it for police station, and we'll keep everyone updated on anything else going forward.
Take it easy, Nance. Take a minute. Take a minute. Take a minute. There you go, moonshine.
Tito's.
Little moonshine there.
There you
I was
go.
gonna say Tito's. Hope it's Tito's.
It says drinking
Not from
jar.
experience. Not from
This-
experience.
It says drinking jar on it, so.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so the only other thing we have is the municipal center renovations, which I can quickly tell you. That whole thing with the whole Gordian group and everything, I don't know where it went. It seems to be stalled. So trying to get some more information and figure out where we're supposed to go next with this. But there may also be an RFP that goes out sometime soon, hopefully, of the town looking for a project management team to deal with using the ARPA funds. So we'll see where that goes. Maybe we'll see.
Well, we'll see. That's what Matt told me, the same thing, that there'll be RFPs out to manage. I don't even know what projects ended up in the ARPA kind of package, but.
Yeah,
we'll
so
see.
there's funding, obviously, it's grant money that can be used by the town for not just construction projects, but I believe some of that money wants to be used for the municipal center locker rooms, and we're gonna need project management, owner's rep, all that kind of stuff. So we might be working some more with Geraldine and STV. Yay.
Yay.
So that's where we are with that. So our next meeting in 2 weeks, as I said, I will let Ryan Patrick know that we're not moving anywhere with any of his change orders and things until he gets at the meeting. And I told him he could, about 8 o'clock we'd be dealing with the police station. And he could just hang out in the background until we were ready and he could jump right in, and I never heard back from him. So again, I will let him know. And on that note,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you
Good
for
night,
sticking around.
everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Geraldine, thanks
Thanks a
for
lot.
sticking around, Geraldine.
Stay
Happy
warm.
New Year.
Night.
Happy New Year.